Taiwan is often reduced to a line on a map or a headline about chips. But the island's story stretches millennia, from the Austronesian peoples who launched oceanic migrations, through colonial upheavals to a modern democracy that shapes global tech. This video strips aside myths and shows the facts that really matter. The story of an island is often told from the outside, a narrative of arrivals, conquests, and external influences. But to truly understand Taiwan, we must begin from within, looking out. This is not just an island shaped by others. It is an island that has shaped worlds. Its history is a complex tapestry of ancient mariners, resilient cultures, colonial ambitions, and a relentless drive toward a future of its own making. To grasp its present, we must first uncover the layers of its past, challenging the simple narratives and revealing a story far more intricate and profound than often assumed. Many assume Taiwan was settled from the outside, a final destination for mainland migrations. But the evidence tells a different story. Taiwan didn't just receive people. It sent them out. Linguistic and archaeological findings point to the island as the ancestral homeland, the heimat of the Austronesian peoples. From this cradle, thousands of years ago, a great human expansion began. It was a dispersal that would eventually span half the globe, from Madagascar off the coast of Africa to Easter Island in the remote Pacific, making it one of the most significant migrations in human history. The common threads of language, from Malagasy to Maori to Malay, all trace their distant origins back to the voices that once echoed in Taiwan's mountains and valleys. This ancient heritage was never monolithic. To speak of a single Aboriginal Taiwan is to miss the richness of its human landscape. The island is home to more than a dozen officially recognized indigenous nations, the Archaeology, the Amos, the Paiwan, the Rukai, and many others, each with its own distinct language, cosmology, and cultural traditions. These are not remnants of a forgotten past but living communities, each representing a unique branch of the Austronesian family tree. Their ancestral stories, social structures, and artistic expressions paint a picture of a diverse and deeply rooted cultural mosaic that predates any outside arrival by millennia. This expansion across the oceans was made possible by remarkable maritime technology. The idea of boat building isn't new here. It is an ancient art. The ancestors of modern indigenous Taiwanese were sophisticated seafarers who developed outrigger canoes and other vessels, capable of navigating the treacherous waters of the Pacific. This technology was not merely for transport. It was the engine of cultural and linguistic diffusion, carrying people, ideas, and agricultural practices across vast expanses of open water. The skills honed in the Taiwan Strait became the foundation for the settlement of nearly every habitable island in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Centuries of change, from colonization to assimilation, have tested the endurance of these traditions. Yet they have survived. Despite immense pressure, many indigenous practices, languages, and crafts persist and are now undergoing a powerful revival. Communities are working to reclaim their linguistic heritage, revitalize traditional ceremonies, and pass down ancestral knowledge to younger generations. This resilience is a testament to the strength of cultural identity, a quiet but firm declaration that these traditions, forged over thousands of years, will not be erased. The island's story is also written in its DNA. Taiwan sits at a genetic crossroads, a place where human lineages have converged for centuries. The foundational layer is Austronesian, but subsequent waves of migration have added to this complexity. Genetic studies of Taiwan's population reveal a rich mixture of influences, reflecting the arrival of Han Chinese from Fujian and Guangdong, the brief presence of Europeans, and the legacy of Japanese colonial rule. Each layer has left its mark, creating a population that is a living archive of the island's layered history. The first Europeans to establish a significant presence were not conquerors in the traditional sense, but merchants. The Dutch arrived in the early 17th century, seeking a strategic base for their burgeoning trade network in East Asia. They established fortifications like Fort Zeelandia and Fort Provincia, transforming southwestern Taiwan into a colonial outpost known as Dutch Formosa. For nearly 4 decades, they managed the island not as a settlement colony, but as a profitable enterprise, trading deer hides and sugar while attempting to subjugate local indigenous tribes. Their rule, however, would prove to be transient. A Chinese loyalist, driven from the mainland, would be the one to expel the Dutch. In 1662, Zheng Chenggong, known in the West as Koxinga, led a fleet to Taiwan. A fervent supporter of the fallen Ming dynasty, He saw the island as a strategic sanctuary, a base from which he could gather his forces and one day restore the Ming to power. His successful siege of Fort Zeelandia ended Dutch rule and marked the beginning of significant Han-Chinese political control over parts of the island. Though his dream of retaking the mainland never materialized, his actions irrevocably shifted Taiwan's geopolitical orientation. Following Koxinga's short-lived kingdom, the island transitioned from a frontier outpost to an imperial province. The Qing dynasty, which had defeated the Ming, initially viewed Taiwan with apprehension, considering it a remote and troublesome territory. However, fearing it could become a haven for pirates or rebels, the Qing incorporated the island into their empire in 1683. Over the next 2 centuries, they gradually asserted administrative control, primarily over the western plains, while waves of migration from Fujian and Guangdong provinces transformed the island's demographic and agricultural landscape. The frontier, slowly but surely, was being integrated into the imperial bureaucracy. A dramatic shift occurred in 1895 when, after its defeat in the First Sino-Japanese War, the Qing Empire ceded Taiwan to Japan. For the next half a century, Taiwan was a Japanese colony, subject to a comprehensive project of modernization and control. The Japanese administration built railways, roads, and harbors, established a modern education system, and developed industries from sugar to camphor. This period profoundly reshaped Taiwan's society and economy, introducing modern infrastructure and institutions, but it was also an era of strict colonial rule, cultural assimilation policies, and the suppression of local resistance. When Japanese rule ended in 1945, it left behind a complex legacy of development and subjugation that continues to be debated today. Today, while Mandarin is the official language of government and education, it is far from the only one spoken. The linguistic landscape of Taiwan is a vibrant reflection of its history. Taiwanese Hokkien, the language of the largest Han migrant group, and Hakka, another significant Sinitic language, are alive in daily conversation, music, and media. Alongside them, the dozen or so Austronesian languages of the indigenous peoples are recognized and increasingly protected as vital components of the island's cultural heritage. This multilingualism is not just a curiosity. It is a fundamental aspect of Taiwanese identity. What you eat here tells a story of cultural fusion. Taiwanese cuisine is a rich historical record, a blend of ingredients and techniques from across its past. It begins with the staple foods of indigenous peoples, like taro and millet, and layers upon them the culinary traditions of Fujianese and Hakka settlers. It incorporates the subtle aesthetics and refined flavors introduced during the Japanese colonial era and adds ingredients that arrived through global trade. From the savory broth of beef noodle soup to the delicate balance of a bento box, every dish is a chapter in Taiwan's cultural memory. The island also tells its own stories through a powerful contemporary literary and film tradition. Writers like Wu Mingyi and filmmakers such as Hu Shaoxian and Edward Yang have gained international acclaim for their nuanced explorations of Taiwanese identity, the lingering shadows of colonialism, and the complexities of modern political life. This vibrant artistic scene provides a crucial space for self-reflection, allowing Taiwan to define its own narrative and speak to the world in its own voice. Beyond its human history, Taiwan is a biological marvel. The island is a hotspot of endemism, home to a staggering number of species you won't find anywhere else on Earth. Its unique geography, with a spine of high mountains plunging to tropical coasts, has created a multitude of isolated microclimates. This isolation and environmental diversity have acted as an evolutionary engine, fostering the development of unique species like the Formosan black bear, the Mikado pheasant, and a vast array of rare plants and insects. The island's topography is defined by its central mountain range, a dramatic landscape of big mountains and tiny distinct habitats. These peaks create a rapid vertical succession of climate zones, from subtropical forests at the base to alpine meadows near the summits. This ecological complexity makes Taiwan a paradise for biodiversity, but also presents immense challenges for conservation. Protecting this natural heritage requires a deep understanding of these fragile, interconnected ecosystems, and a commitment to preserving them from the pressures of development. This landscape also shaped human ingenuity. The island's agriculture is a story of adaptation, from ancient rice terraces carved into steep hillsides to sophisticated aquaculture ponds along the coast. For centuries, farmers perfected intensive small farm systems to maximize yields in a challenging terrain. In the modern era, this tradition of innovation has continued, with Taiwan becoming a leader in agricultural technology, developing high-yield crop varieties and advanced farming techniques that are now used around the world. In the contemporary era, Taiwan has carved out a unique and critical role. Its economy is powered by an industry so advanced it has become a linchpin of global technology. The world's digital infrastructure, from smartphones to supercomputers, runs on chips produced by one company in particular, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. As the world's foremost fabricator of advanced semiconductors, TSMC, and the broader Taiwanese tech industry hold a position of immense strategic importance, making the island indispensable to the modern global economy. This economic miracle was accompanied by a remarkable political transformation. Within a few decades, Taiwan transitioned from a state of martial law under the authoritarian rule of the Kuomintang, KMT, to a vibrant multi-party democracy. The lifting of martial law in 1987 unleashed a wave of social and political energy, culminating in direct presidential elections, a free press, and a society that fiercely guards its civil liberties. This journey from authoritarianism to a robust democracy stands as a powerful example in the region and the world. Yet Taiwan navigates a precarious diplomatic tightrope. Recognized officially by only a handful of nations, it maintains extensive de facto relationships, trade partnerships, and unofficial friendships with countries across the globe. This complex diplomatic reality is the result of immense international pressure and a geopolitical calculus that forces Taiwan to be creative and resilient in its engagement with the world. It operates not just through formal statecraft, but through a different kind of influence. Its soft power is projected through its globally recognized pop culture, its world-class universities, and its tech brands. Taiwanese music, films, and innovations create cultural and scientific connections that transcend formal diplomatic channels, amplifying the island's presence on the world stage. Ultimately, Taiwan's strategic geography is both a blessing and a curse. Its location on the first island chain, astride some of the world's busiest maritime shipping routes, makes it a pivotal point in East Asian security and global trade. This position has made it a focus of geopolitical competition throughout its history and continues to define its present reality. The story of Taiwan is one of constant negotiation between tradition and modernity, between its own identity and the expectations of others, and between its small size and its immense global significance. It is an island that reminds us that history is never static, and that the future is always being written. Taiwan's past and present are layered: languages, landscapes, empires, and industries that connect local lives to global systems. If you want more myth-busting history grounded in sources, hit subscribe and tell me which Taiwan fact surprised you most.